To speak for yourself, let's keep it rolling with the Cowboys. They're coming off a blowout loss, which puts them in second place in their division at 2-4. Well, next up for Dallas is a road game in Washington, followed by a road trip to Philly. Head coach Mike McCarthy talked about the importance of taking care of business in the NFC East, saying, quote, "Win the division games, you win the division." Clearly, that's the way our division is set up, where everybody, as far as their season and the number of wins and losses. This is probably going to come down to the division games like it normally is. So, Marcellus, be real with me, bro, because I know what that sounds like. But do you have an issue with Mike McCarthy saying their focus is on winning divisional games?
Yeah, huge issue with this. Just like Jalen Smith out there saying, must win when you don't have to win. I don't like this one as well because they're already recalibrating. Like, the goal has already been changed, been altered. You're in a place where now, instead of you getting closer to your goals, you just want to bring your goal closer to you. Give you an example. If Acho and I, we're going to take this cruise, big dog. We're going to go on a cruise. I don't know why, but we're going to go on a cruise, SFY cruise. And our destination is Hawaii. All right, let's take a cruise to Hawaii. And then all of a sudden, this is your captain speaking. We're just going to change our route and destination. Catalina. You know where Catalina is? Like an hour away. Like, that ain't Hawaii. Like, wait a minute. I signed up for something greater than what you're now selling me, Coach. And that's why I don't like it. It's just a short-changing of us having full desire and the same aspirations. It seems like he's trying to reduce things because he thinks this team is less than what he had.
Bro, think about this for a second. Mike McCarthy, what are you doing? Just 70 days ago, August 21st, Mike McCarthy says this quote. He says, man, if you're not trying to win the Super Bowl, I don't even know what you're doing in this business. I think that's what every team starts the offseason with. That's the only sentence in that paragraph that you need to hear. Mike McCarthy said just 70 days ago, if you're not trying to win the Super Bowl, I don't know what you're doing. Now, Marcel, is he talking about winning division games?
Yeah.
Like, how dare you lower the bar so much? Marcellus, there's a quote. Shoot for the moon, and even if you miss, you land amongst the stars. Well, Mike McCarthy, he's shooting for the roof so he can hit the ceiling? Like, I don't get it, Mike McCarthy. Like, you're shooting to win the worst division in football. Now, sure, I understand the semantics of it. Win the division, you make the playoffs. Yeah. But how can you have such high and lofty aspirations just 70 days ago, 2 months and change ago, and all of a sudden you're like, man, bump this Super Bowl talk. Let's just try to beat the second worst team in football.
Yeah. What are you talking about now? The ceiling is the roof. You remember Michael Jordan doing that? What the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about, Michael McCarthy? You know what? I was a good student. I want to get an A in this class. This is a tough class. I want to get an A in my chem class. A couple of days into chem class, whoa, chem class is fighting back. Yeah. I'm like, oh, you know what? I just want to pass. I just want to get up out of this. It's crazy that a coach doesn't understand how he's being received. It may sound good in your own mind, your own mental concoction. Like, oh, yeah, I can tell these guys, hey, let's streamline this. Let's strip this down. All that matters are divisional games. You know why all that matters are divisional games? Because the entire NFC East is 2-15-1 outside the division. So, in a way, he's trying to run a calculation that makes sense to his team because nobody's out there winning games outside the division. But at the same time, you got to understand, Coach, we heard you a month ago, as you showed. If we heard you then and we hear you now, what sense does both of these things make?
Coaches have to understand, Big Bro, that your players listen to every word and every action.
Everything.
My first year in the Cleveland Browns, before I got hurt, Pat Shermer calls us up to the huddle. He brings us all up. We had a perfect offseason team activity practice, and he says, men, phenomenal practice. That was a perfect practice. If you keep practicing like this, you'll look up, we'll be 10-6. We'll be 13-3. I said to myself, wait a second. If we play perfect, Marcellus, we still gonna lose?
Yeah.
Like, if we play perfect, we're still gonna have losses? Did you just say great job? If y'all do everything right, we're still gonna be sorry by perfect standards? I remembered that. He came up the next day and he apologized to us and said, I apologize, man, I'm never gonna sell y'all short. It was too late. We finished that year 4-12. Mike McCarthy, you just let your team know your ceilings for them are incredibly low. You tell me, Sel, if your child comes up to you, Daddy, when I grow up, I want to be an astronaut. They might not really have a chance of being an astronaut, but you ain't going to tell them that.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to kill down the dreams of a child? And that's basically what Mike McCarthy did.
Yeah, well, my son, you seen his head? He ain't gonna fit in that thing. He ain't gonna be too damn big.
What's wrong with you, bro? What's wrong?
I'm looking at him like, hey, dog, you want to be linebacker or DN? What the hell? You ain't gonna be no astronaut. All right, I'm sorry. All right, here's the real. I played in Dallas. It's so hypercritical, and this is important to understand what they're really going through in terms of pressure. And you talked about it before earlier in the blocks when you were saying all the outside noise was silenced, or at least shh, if we get a win. And right now, he's looking at the situation where he's like, I am in such an adverse situation. The team is not good. The defense is historically bad. And then I lost my leader at quarterback. So now I'm getting pounded from the outside. People have forgot my resume. People have forgotten that I am a championship coach. And I realize I don't even have the ammunition, or at least am I motivating this ammunition enough to get us to where we have to go? So, human behavior, the first thing you do is reduce what you want. As simple as that. Look, I grew up in poverty. You grew up normal, whatever you may have been. But when you don't have a lot, all of a sudden, this becomes a lot. Like, it becomes a relative experience. And then you try to live in that and find the joy in that until you realize that there's more than just that. These players know more than just winning divisional games.
Yeah, that's good.
You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
So, and now you try to come here and say, no, I'm going to put you back in that box. Kind of a poverty of sort for who they are in terms of their talent. They're not gonna buy it, big dog.
It's almost like, bro, I've been to these track meets where you watch the high jump, right? I threw discus, so I would watch the field events.
Were you a little fat boy?
No, I was just long. You know, I had long levers. It's all about levers, okay? So I would watch the high jump, big bro, and you would see sometimes even a great jumper, they'll start to lower the bar. They lower the bar so he can get over it. And the problem is you're not going to let him maximize his ability if you bring the bar down to your lower expectations, which undermines the true ability that they have. But I'm gonna end it like this, because I told you, got my master's in sports psychology, and I studied this. And I wrote my final paper, big bro, before I could graduate, on goals. See, I don't believe in goals. I believe in having an objective with no limitations. Because Mike McCarthy, you gave the Cowboys a goal. At best, you'll reach your goal. At worst, you won't, and you'll ruin your self-esteem and self-efficacy. Stop giving the Cowboys a goal, particularly if the goal is too low. Have your objective, winning the Super Bowl. Give yourself no limitations. And McCarthy, just see where you land at the end of the season. Coming up, Russell Wilson is openly campaigning for Antonio Brown in Seattle. I'll tell y'all why that is a huge mistake. Don't do it, Russ.